This is a whole ball change for the patients. And basically, I could do whatever they want. I mean, even from the midline of the teeth, they come up perfectly fine because you do a facial scan, so then you place the teeth exactly where you want them. They're gonna be perfect with the proper length, the width, everything.
Welcome. Super exciting episode today. We're doing something a little different. We have a really off the cusp here, outstanding dentist in Dr. Miro here. And we're going to talk a little bit about his adventure or venture into getting to where he is today, because he did not start there, as we were discussing off camera. So we're just talking a little bit about how where you went to school and where you grew up. You want to give a little background information, because I think that adds a lot to your story.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm Cuban, okay, so I was born in Cuba and I left Cuba like many others because of communism. And from Cuba, then we went to New Jersey, and it was really cold. So my parents decided, well, we don't want to live here, so we moved to Puerto Rico. And then I lived in Puerto Rico until I was 17 years old, and then I moved to Miami, where I became a lab tech. So I used to work for a dentist, and I became a lab tech, and then I went on to dental school, and I went into Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, for dental school.
When you went to do dental school in the Dominican Republic, was it a lot different than the things you would have been able to do in the United States? Because I have some friends that have done foreign medical. I have friends that have come here from other countries and become physicians. So was the training a little different? Because I feel like you can do, I'll let you go with that one.
But it's true, yeah, the training is different, no doubt. I mean, there's no comparison like the United States, and the training was completely different. But once you come here, then you do your training, and you need to revalidate, you need to go through, basically you have to go through school again, you need to study, you need to pass your national boards. And I did, and I did very well. And then after that, I did my training at the University of Miami. But yeah, it was like a different mentality. I mean, and you need to study all over again and prove that you up to task to be able to practice in the United States.
Yeah, which is not the least resistance to get to becoming a dentist or a physician in any sort. Why I kind of asked you that question, and so for instance, like, my friend did medical school in Nicaragua, and he was able to do like surgery right away. Like they would have never let you do that here in the United States, right? So he was able to see some things, and I'm just wondering if you were able to see some things you probably wouldn't have seen until maybe later on.
So
had you
it's
started
funny
here.
Let me tell you what. So I had a dental chair. I had a three-bedroom house that I rented, and I had a dental chair in one of the rooms that was empty, and I would see patients there. That would never happen here, as you know. So I was exposed to a lot of hands-on. Needless to say, what we were lacking was more like the theory, but once you come here, like again, you study, you make it right, and then you do things correctly. But the hands-on I was doing, basically, I remember on the first on my first semester there, I was numbing a patient. And I did an extraction next to another doctor that had experience, but he let me do it, so it was funny,
It's pretty interesting.
You get to have a lot of hands-on.
So, and I'm going to come back to that. Don't let me forget, because you were showing me some pictures right before we started filming it. I was like, wait. So then you come here, you do medical school, you go through the dental program here, basically doing some of the training over to qualify to do it in the United States, right? And that in itself is hard as can be.
It is very hard. I tell you, I had to pass the first part, the second part of the national boards in mannequin, and then I had to prove on patients, that I was up to standard with every doctor that graduates from the United States.
Okay, so you get through that, obviously.
You got through that.
You got through that. And then did you go right into opening your own practice?
So I was not the average. So I started practicing with 2 doctors, and 3 months after I have been in practice, I told them, listen, you either sell to me or I'm leaving, because I was doing very, very well since I graduated. I had a lot of ambition. I mean, I was a lab tech, so I knew a lot about the prosthetic parts. And back then, dental implants were coming out, you know, like something new, and I had my training, and I was placing dental implants and helping patients, and it just grew and grew, and it became what is now known as Miro Dental Centers.
So did you buy them out or did you leave?
So I did buy them out. I bought out the first one. Wow. And then I bought the second one, and then I went on my own. Yes, I did.
Okay, that's very interesting.
It is.
That's totally...
Started as an employee and then ended up buying the...
So you know, I talk to a lot of physicians and some business owners, and I think that's an interesting way, right? So like, we're going through the process of expanding, and you know, the conversation, we're now bringing it up, which is new for us. Usually the physicians bring up, it's like, what's the partnership track, and what's this and what's that? But you're like, look, I want to be a part of this. I want to own it actually, and then you can work for me or you can leave or whatever. So you went like a much more entrepreneur kind of way. So you bought their practices out. Now, were their practices more based on regular dental?
Yeah, it was regular dentistry. Yeah, I bought into the practice, and it was regular dentistry. I mean, but basically what I did, I bought my part, you know, my chair, everything, and so I became, you know, I was my sole owner, you know, after that. That's what I did, yeah.
And what area was this in when you first started?
So my first office was in 42nd Avenue and 7th Street at the Ocean Bank building on the 5th floor. You know, that building's still there with the blue windows right in the corner. So there's where I started practicing, and very good memories. And after that, then I started buying different offices, dental offices, which I did. And then I built my main office, which is in Lejeune and 6th Street, which you go by there.
So when we decided to do the interview, I got excited because I told you this. I would drive by and I see this. How many stories is it?
It's a 3-story building.
3-story, but it's
not
beautiful.
That big.
But no, it's really nice. I mean, like, I feel weird now. I'm like, man, my space is so small. It's this 3-story, beautiful, modern. You can see inside. You can tell it's clean. Dentists in general usually do a better job of design, just period. But you have this beautiful, modern building, and you look in it, and it makes you curious. I'm like, man, I wonder what this guy does. I'm like, what a cool building. And I've never seen a dentist have like a building like that. Yeah. So I know you guys, I know a lot of dentists. One of my neighbors is a good dentist. He does some sort of surgery as well. He has a nice space here in the Gables. But you had you have to look at this building. You don't have a choice. It's just really nice. And so you expand into this building. How long did it take for you to decide to build there, or was there something there before that you?
So I bought that property. I believed in investing in real estate, so that's one of my side things, you know. Since I started making money, I started investing in real estate, and there was a duplex there that I bought. And when I bought it, I told myself, I'm going to build a building here. So then I bought the other building next to it, so I could, you know, so it could be a bigger lot. And then I started buying the properties around it. So then that was many years ago that I decided I'm going to have my dental office there. And it's my dream office because I have an OR, an operating room, and I do big cases under complete full-blown general anesthesia, major reconstructions. I see patients that basically they're hopeless because they have no bone, and they will have to be without teeth or with the removable dentures, and with remote anchorage, which is what I do, implants that are placed either into the zygomatic bone, the pterygoids, transnasal implants. I'm able to place fixed teeth in these patients. So they come in the morning, and basically by 1 or 2 o'clock, they walk with gorgeous, beautiful fixed teeth. So
I saw some of your work. So a little background, I was a device rep, and I went into neurosurgery, right? So I saw spine coming out. We were talking about this off camera before. I had no problem with that. I did get a little queasy because I'm a little wimp with the mouth, but the work you have done and the pictures that you showed me, and we need to definitely get some of those for the clips for the podcast. It's phenomenal. I mean, people are coming in, and I'm looking at their before, I'm like, oh my goodness, you feel bad, and then they come out and you're like, they're like this beautiful, they're smiling. They probably didn't smile before. I wouldn't have, and that work, and then you showed me sometimes how deep you have to go to make this work for that client, for that patient. It's like an art. It's an art.
It's something that you really, I always have I mean, I like to think outside of the box. I always see myself as I want to be in the cutting edge, you know, in the latest technology, and that's what I have done, you know, with what I do. Basically, those type of surgeries, from what I hear, there's less than 100 doctors in the United States that do this type of surgery. A lot of doctors, they go through the training, they do it, but at the end they decide not to do it because it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of infrastructure. I have my own inside house lab, everything, in order for this to happen. Because if not, it won't be able to happen. It will be very difficult to happen.
So yeah, so you have if you didn't have that, it would be much more complicated. So you have to really set it up, and it's probably like a little bit cost prohibitive, I would think.
It is very, yeah. The investment that I had to do was major to go fully digital. So years ago, we used to take impressions with alginate, with materials. I mean, and nowadays everything gets done with facial scanners, intraoral scanners. It's completely different. I mean, this is a whole ball change for the patients. And basically, I could do whatever they want. I mean, even from the midline of the teeth, they come up perfectly fine because you do a facial scan. So then you place the teeth exactly where you want them. They're going to be perfect with the proper length, the width, everything. And if the patient doesn't like something, you can fix it. You go to the computer, change it, and that's it. Very simple to fix.
So it's like design architecture, graphic design architecture for your mouth.
Yes.
And face, but yes, your mouth. That is.
It is.
So I've only heard of this recently. We were talking a little bit about that there is some of this technology. So how long has this been available to the 100 dentists, more or less, that do your type of procedure?
Well, the technology is available for many dentists, and they're using it. The surgery is the one that I'm talking about. That there's very few dentists that are doing the big type of surgery, like the zygomatic implant surgeries, you know, where you do it with full-blown general anesthesia, you know, those big cases that get done mostly. I mean, if you want to do them correctly and peacefully, you need to have general anesthesia. I hear that there's less than 100 doctors, but the technology, the digital technology is out there. And a lot of dentists, when you visit your dentist, they're going to do an intraoral scan, and you can wait some times, or maybe you come next time and they'll deliver a crown, and they didn't have to take an analog impression like they used to. So the technology is there, but the technology that I use, like photogrammetry, that's then completely different. Okay. Where I can align one implant with the other completely from the outside. You know, it's like completely from outside, and then I just deliver the teeth, and they sit perfectly fine into the implant without having to take a single impression of the patient. Everything gets done with scans. So that's something that is different.
Okay,
you
so
know?
It gets scanned, you get the teeth, you get the mouth, you get what you, now where does that go next?
To the lab.
Okay, it goes
and
to
then
the
lab. Yes, they start putting one mesh, you know, like one scan on top of the other, and then they build the whole thing, and it comes out.
Is it one, like, is it different? It depends on, I guess.
You do different scans, but then one merges with the other, perfectly fine with the other. Because you need to align everything from the bite of the patient. You need to align it. So you put what's called fiduciary screws, which is markers inside the mouth. It's kind of complex, but it is not if you know what you're doing. For me, it's very simple. But even for dentists, if I were to talk to them about this, they'll be completely, they won't know what I'm talking about. And it's normal when I teach what we call a digital workflow, how to do it. When I teach, I tell them, listen, I know that it's a little difficult and it'll make sense, but you know, you need to start doing it in order for it to make sense.
And I guess
technology has changed everything.
I was going to say that probably makes like what you do a little easier, because there are so many variables, there's so many components about making this fit, making it feel natural, making me feel like my bite's like natural, and not just, you know, maybe that's
you don't want to leave the bite open or too close, right? So it needs to be, that's what I'm saying, so it needs to be right where it's supposed to be. Everything needs to be within that space of your bite.
That's so cool. Okay, so you start in Ocean Bank. You have this beautiful building. We were talking a little bit. Your practice encompasses a few locations now. You still do general dentistry. Maybe that's not just you.
No, I don't do general dentistry.
Not you, but
but I have dentists that do general dentistry.
So how many dentists are within Miro?
So I have all the specialists. I have periodontists, ortho. I have oral surgeons. I have the dentists that see the little kids. I have the general dentists that do the fillings, the root canals, the normal stuff, the crowns. So I have all the specialties within the dental offices. But besides that, I mean, we also have all the staff, you know, so every office gets run by itself. But then what I do is that about twice a month I go to the other offices. I may see the patients of the big cases that I do, and then those patients come into my main office where I do the major reconstructions.
So it's like, you know, the equivalent for healthcare, I'm thinking, is like, and the main one that pops in my mind is Sinai, right? So Sinai has satellite offices all over Miami and Broward, and then when they have a big surgery, they bring them to the main office. Exactly. But you have But
my doctors also do like dental implants, but the simple cases, right, the ones that are not as complicated. But they also do them in their office.
And this is, I'm just going to ask a question. I know the answer most likely, but so you're just lining up for those big cases of what we were just talking about with the technology and filling. That's what you just do.
And the complex cases. I do, sadly enough, and I mean, I don't want to, but sadly enough, there's a lot of redos. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of cases that need to be, I mean, that didn't go as planned. Mm-hmm. So I've seen patients that have had surgeries that I had to basically get the patient in a week, 2 weeks after, and start all over from zero and redo the entire case. Okay. There's a lot of that we see. I mean, I don't like to talk about the bad things, but sometimes we need to know that wherever we go, that they're well trained and qualified to do this type of work. Because even a simple surgery of an implant can get complicated if it's not done correctly.
And there's a bunch of things that come with any surgical procedure.
Exactly. So you want to make sure, because what I tell my patients, listen, something that you get here is if there's a complication, most likely I've seen it, and we're going to be able to treat it in the house. You're not going to have to go to another place. And that's something that my patients get, you know. Because as you know, we're doctors, we're not God, you know, I mean, we're not God, for sure. I mean, we're not even close to it. So let's go to
who you talk to.
Yeah, exactly. So if we go to a plastic surgeon, if we're going to go to a doctor that does implants, let's make sure that we do it at the right place so that if something happens, that they're going to back me up and they're going to take care of it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's nobody that has 0% complications.
No.
You do enough surgeries, you do enough procedures, you're going to have cases that you have to deal with the complications.
And you also have cases, and you have those patients that they have false expectations. Mm-hmm. You know, that they're not realistic. And sometimes it's good if you could catch that on time, because you could put a stop, listen, I don't think I can help you. And I have done that. I mean, I'm in a stage in my life where I love what I do. You know, something that my patients have is, and that I consider myself a bit different, is that every patient that walks into my office, they get my cell. And it's not that I have 2 telephone numbers. I don't have 2 cells. Okay, so all of my patients get my cell, because if there's a problem, something happens, I want to be the first one that finds out. And if there's an emergency, I don't want something virtually to be answering the phone call, because I know that that's not what people are expecting. I'm going to be the one answering, and I can handle it immediately. And just for that patient to hear my voice, I know that I'm taking care of the problem, it gets solved immediately. I mean, they're going to feel better. And if I need to go into the office and see them, I mean, I love what I do. I don't mind going into my office. I want to be the one helping that patient and taking care of that problem.
And so that's the main thing we focus on, is like that concierge approach. That's
what you do. That's why I brought it, because when I met you, when I saw what you're doing, I mean, sadly enough, it's what I was saying, medicine is not heading in that direction. But then having that concierge medicine that my wife has, it, I mean, it makes a complete difference. I mean, it does make a complete difference. Well, you know that you just one phone call away from that doctor, you know.
Yeah, and it's like the care. It's they feel good. They have that relationship with you, you know. Where sometimes, and some people are like, well, I did it, I'm done. And I've seen that in all sorts, especially with surgeries. I did the surgery, piercing, walks away. Maybe a mid-level goes to see you, no matter what. I don't feel good. This doesn't feel right, and it takes time for them to actually see that patient, and things go sideways, or there's a complication, or their hardware has to be removed from their spine. I've seen those kind of things happen too. Yeah. So, but patients do want to do surgery or different things, or have trust with the person they choose, and then I think it's a nice touch, and it should be the way it is, that you stay with them and make sure they're doing well. And especially because, like I'm telling you, the things I saw you do are absolutely life-changing for some of these people that have these, you know, different I don't know what the word would be in dentistry, in surgical dentistry, but like they have, they're missing teeth, they have things that they want to correct.
Well,
so
this patients, honestly, when they walk into the office, they're looking for a change. They want to be able to eat correctly. They want to be able to socialize, and they're not able to do so because they have their dentures. I mean, they have a lot of problems. So once you fix their teeth, it's like they tell you, listen, you have changed my life. And the gratitude that I get and the good things that I get from my patients, all of that positive energy just keeps me going. And I love what I do. Both of my kids are dentists.
Oh, yeah?
We talk about that. And I guess they saw
Do they work under the umbrella?
Yeah, so
okay.
they're both coming. Yeah, so my son did the training, and he's finishing right now with dental implants. My daughter did also the training on dental implants. She's in Atlanta. My son is in Arizona, and they're both coming down,
That's so
And they asked me,
awesome.
so how do you, how did that happen? And I guess that they see me, what I do, and the passion that I have, and it just inspired them to become dentists. And not because they're my kids, because you could ask any of my employees, I'm really hard on myself, but they're really good dentists. And I made sure that they have proper training like I did. Because I'm not where I am right now because it just happened. I have my training, I paid my dues back in the days, And I went into the ORs doing the big surgery with Dr. Mark Stevens, Stuart Klein from the University of Miami, taking bone from the iliac crest to do bone graft in the upper jaw, the lower jaw, to do reconstruction, to do implants, Nowadays, we don't have to do that because of the new technology, and what I'm doing with the remote anchorage. But back then, that's what I was doing, But I pay my dues. I have my proper training. So I always believe in, doctors, you should get the proper training. It cannot just be a weekend course where I do a weekend course and then I'm going to come back and start doing the cases,
That's interesting because, correct me if I'm wrong, like I think dentists, in general, dentists is one of the, I think it's one of the hardest professions for most dentists. Like they don't love what they do. And so I think probably, and so I want you to handle that part too, but probably because I could feel how much you love your job. And I think most people don't. And they come home and the kids are like, I don't know if I want to do that, right? And so I think it was probably contagious. Like they're like, this is great. Look at what he gets to do. They probably saw, I'm going to think maybe they see someone, they were around because they're your kids, and they would see like, wow, these people are so excited for this. And what a cool little niche in dentistry where I can really help people and really make a difference and enjoy what I do, which is not common, period.
So for me, dentistry, especially with this new technology, I've been telling a few of my patients and people that I have always loved what I do. But it's like a new love. It's like I have renewed my vows with dentistry because of this new technology, because I feel that I'm again in the top, on the cutting edge, doing things that are just a few get to do. So how can that not be exciting? I mean, it's just, I love what I do, and if things come out right, you also love what you do. But it's true what you're saying. I have talked to a lot of dentists, and it's sad that it's very stressful. People don't realize because we go with little details, and it is stressful. And if you don't know how to handle it correctly, you could get to not love it. And I do know a lot of dentists also that don't love what they do, and it's sad because I've been doing it for many, many years. And into the day that I feel that I won't be able to help my patients, I want to continue. I don't want to retire. I don't want to stop doing it, to be honest with you. It hasn't even crossed my mind to retire, to stop doing what I do.
So you run a pretty robust business, and it's yours, right? Do you have some people that help you with all the administration stuff,
yes.
Day-to-day running
I
stuff?
have great managers in every office that run them. My sister has been a big piece. Everyone from the social media, from Fabiola to everyone that surrounds me. I mean, I'm just the doctor that goes in and I tell them, let me do the surgery. That is the only thing that you guys cannot do. Then they need to handle the rest of it, And something that I have been able to do, and I think that has helped me grow, is that I delegate. So I let everyone handle, and maybe it's not perfect, because no one is perfect. I'm not perfect. No one is perfect, but they do their job to the best. And I know that, you know, we always come up with ideas and they follow me. They follow my crazy ideas, what I say, what I do. And we make it work. We make it work. It works, really. It really does.
Did you always do it that way, or did you take on a lot of things and once you started growing, you started finding people to delegate to?
No, I always, at the beginning, I take as much as I can, but you always have to delegate. If you try to do everything, business is not gonna grow. There's no possible way. You have to be good at what you do. My part, I'm the type of doctor that I tell them, I mean, this isn't a good way, but I like to have my hands full of blood. And helping people, making them better. Because, you know, when I have my hands full of blood, that I'm helping someone, I'm making the gorgeous smile, I'm making them beautiful. You know, I also do not only the surgery, because I'm also, I'm very honored. I'm very blessed to say that I do smiles this time, but I'm very selective of who needs it, because not everyone needs it. But in my office, I tell them, let me do what I do good, which is the surgeries. Let me be in the OR, what I do good, and then you handle the other parts, you know?
So yeah, so a lot of times I think what happens, because you're very educated, physicians are very educated, you end up being your own bottleneck, right? You either stop the growth or you don't let people grow on their own. And so it's not as easy, it's way more complicated if you can even grow from that stage, because you're in your own way. And so you have to figure out, how do I find people I can trust and delegate to, or train them so I can delegate them to them. And then your business just starts to grow, because now you have your hands in people's mouths, so instead of having your hands in 20 different things, which is, you have to keep an eye on it because it is your business. But at the end of the day, you surround yourself with a team that allows you to do what you love, right? You love doing what you do. And in order for you to do that, people need to get the other things to make sure you are able to do that. So you have more time to do your surgeries and things like that. I think people don't get that part. And some people will say they don't want to give up any of that, and they end up staying small, which is okay if that's what they want, but they don't allow themselves to see more patients, to help more people.
They want to grow. The sad part is that they want to grow, but you can't grow unless you delegate, unless you start opening, and you have to be open-minded. Because the other thing is that, you know, every doctor, I don't care how old you are, but you have to have a young mentality. You need to move along. You need to come with the new social media. You need to look at everything else that is coming out new. And you need to accept it. You know, you need to embrace it. You need to try it. And it's fun. It's not bad. It's fun. You know, you should enjoy the ride. I'm enjoying the ride.
Yeah, so we were talking a little bit, like you were just telling how the technology has changed, where we used to, you know, when you started, you're taking hip bone and putting it in the mouth, which I just can't even imagine.
There were big surgeries. The patient would stay in the hospital with a drain for 3 days. No, it was big, yeah.
And then now you're able to do it in a lab, in your own office. So things have changed a lot. And I think we're also seeing on the medical side, things are changing a lot. The data is coming in more. We're finding cures more quickly. We're getting things diagnosed earlier. The technology for preventative medicine, which we haven't done well for a very long time, is really starting to come through, because people are asking for that, right? And so it's time to embrace that. And I think, you know, I was joking on a much earlier podcast, I was joking like my first and only Twitter argument was around a preventive technology for MRI, full body MRI. And still there's arguments every day about this. And I was like, look, you have extra cash, you can pay for cash. There's a company that takes cash. Why wouldn't you do it if you have disposable income? When, especially, this was like 2016, 17, where there was nothing really that could help you know until you already had stage 3 or 4. And now there's a bunch of venture capital backed companies that are doing full body MRIs and all these different things that are trying to prevent disease, catch them earlier so physicians can be more aggressive in treatment and hopefully find a cure for these patients. And it's just like, but there's so many physicians that started yelling at me instead of just being open to maybe this new technology that could help some people. They agree, not everybody can get it. It's impossible. But it is something that is available, and some people foo-foo on it because they don't want to change.
So in my case, I tell you, when I first came out of school that I was doing dental implants, I got so, you cannot imagine how criticized I was back then because I was placing dental implants. Nowadays, we know, and it was known back then that they do work. because I was placing them on my patients. They were happy. They were, I was giving them fixed teeth, so we know that it works, But nowadays, we know. So that happens a lot with new. Sometimes, you're gonna get criticized, but just move forward if you know that you're doing the right thing. And if you see the results with the patient, because I saw my patients, I knew they were happy, It was working, so it happens,
You just kept driving in that direction.
And also, when you succeed in life, it's something that there's always going to be someone, that's going to happen,
I wouldn't know nothing.
You wouldn't know nothing about that, right?
Maybe you're the last.
But always do good, and what I really care about is my patients. If you care about the patient's well-being, forget about the rest, because then you're doing things correctly. And patient comes first before anything else, Like I told you, because of who I am, and I'm known in town, in South Florida, if you mention my name, I've been on TV having infomercials for, 30 years, so they know my name. So they walk in and they're gonna tell them, listen, I wanna get a smile design. And I'm the first one that is gonna tell them, you don't need a smile design. Because a lot of times they don't need it many times. They're young, they have gorgeous teeth, and I'm not gonna compromise someone where they're gonna have permanent damage in their teeth to do something just because, I wanna have just the color of my teeth to be whiter, Now, if they have stains, if they really need it, of course I wanna help you, because that's what we're here for. But let's make sure that you need it, that it's not just something that you wanna have it because I'm seeing it on Instagram and everyone is getting it,
Yeah.
It's what they call diseño de sonrisa or smile design,
So you said something there that I think is important. Number one is taking care of your patient, right? And doing the right thing. If you do that, you'll find more patients.
Always.
Very easy. Like, it's not the last patient you're gonna have. It's not the end all be all. I've seen both sides of this. And I've also seen people not worry about that so much and worry too much about the business side, and then their growth doesn't happen on the patient side. If you grow and do well by the patients, they'll tell other people, you'll get a good name about yourself, and you'll have enough patients that whether you're an employee or employer, you'll be able to expand, right? Or you'll be able to get a better contract, or you'll be able to this. But that is the primary focus. And that's one thing I think when we go back to our basics, when you're expanding your practice, adding dentists, adding other physicians, if that's at the core of the value of the person, you can work with that.
Yeah.
Because moving forward, they're going to take care of people, build a good name, they're going to grow their business, and then you'll grow their business together, even though they may be an employee, right? So I think the most important thing you can do is take care and do the right thing. If you do those things, it'll just work. We've seen the opposite. We're in Miami, of course, but it's a simple thing, and sometimes it takes time. So you have to make sure that you can do that time and put that time in. But as long as you follow that rule, it seems to just work, period. And I've seen it across.
And that's in any business. Mm-hmm. As long as you take care of your customers, of your patients, even if, anyone, you could be a mechanic, anything, as long as you do things correctly and you do what's right, it's always going to benefit you, and it's just going to keep bringing more patients, more clientele, more everything. You're just going to grow. There's no stop. And that's been I came from a very humble, I lived in a trailer park here in Miami, I remember, and 107th and Flagler. There was a trailer park there. Mm-hmm. So
my parents changed a lot.
Yeah, that's changed a lot. Yeah, there's no trailer there. No. So I remember my parents, they slept in a room and I slept on the living room. And basically I come from that, but if you do things correctly, you could grow, you could be, you could do things. If you do things correctly, you will grow and things will come, because I remember when I needed the money, when I first started practicing, that I didn't know anyone. I didn't think about, let me do more work. No, if you always do what's correctly, even if you do the money, if you need the money, you do what's correctly. You tell that patient, listen, you don't need that treatment. It would always bring you back more patients.
Do you think growing up like that gave you this entrepreneurial energy?
Yes, because I was very hungry. I didn't know any. I had no one to refer me. I didn't know anyone really in town. I was I don't have any connections. I can't get good patients, whatever. So yes, but I was very hungry, very, very hungry. But in my mind, let me tell you something, that I would see myself dressed in a white coat treating patients. I never saw myself like the nice car or the house or any other of the material things that nowadays I have, that they're a blessing and they're to enjoy, but I will see myself more like dressing white treating patients. So my mind, even though I came from a very humble, very simple family and we didn't have anything, but my mind was in the right track. And if you study dentistry, if you study medicine, if you're into this, you got to see patients for what they are first, and then the other things, like we said, they're going to come. Because that's how I will see myself in a white coat treating patients. I won't think about the nice car, the boat, whatever, none of that.
That can happen. If that's what you want, eventually,
it's going to happen.
It's a byproduct.
Yes, exactly.
You're rewarded for the work you do, right?
Exactly.
And so as you take care of more and more people, you will be rewarded, and what you do with that reward.
But I was very hungry. I could tell you that much. I wanted to make it in life, and I wanted to work. I wanted to do it with hard work, which is what's at the core of this country. You work hard, and then the American dream comes true. Sadly enough, a lot of people now, what they want is give me everything for free. I don't want nothing for free. I don't want this country to give me anything. I want to give to those that are needed. I don't want people to abuse, what we have. And sometimes that's what they do, They take away from those that need people that don't really need it, From food stamps to everything, to the Medicaid, to the Medicare, And that's another complete subject, but that's a reality.
Whole nother podcast. We'll have you come back in a couple of years for that version of the podcast. But I totally agree, though. Like you have to put your work in, and it seems there is definitely a difference in people that want to go out, earn it, and move forward. We've seen it amongst professionals in our vicinity too, with physicians. I don't deal with dentists, but I've seen, where it's always, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? It's like, no, just take care of the patient and we'll take it from there. Like thinking about what does this look like 3 years from now? I'm like, well, if you take care of this patient in 3 years from now, you'll have a lot more patients and we will figure that part out. But show me that you care about people, that you want to put the work in, that you want to make a name for yourself by doing the right thing, by spreading out there, and then everything else will come with that. But I think everybody's like, what do I get now?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's such and then they also don't see, like, I know some of your hobbies and things and some of the cool things you do, but like they don't see where you were in the trailer, right?
Exactly.
Like, and so they forget that. They weren't there when you were in Ocean Bank and you had you were like, I want to keep my office right here, basically. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to work my ass off. I'm going to buy this one. I'm going to build something here. They weren't there for that, right? So but then they see what you have now and they want that. But they don't want to put in that work, that foundation, and put it over and over again to get there. Or to prove that, hey, look.
They don't want to pay the price.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
Right.
They come in and they want everything to be handled to them.
Yes.
And at the end, it doesn't matter whatever you decide to do in life. I don't care if you're going to pick up, chicken eggs, whatever.
Yeah.
Be the best one at it. And then you're going to be on top of everything. At the end, you're going to own the entire farm and make, millions of dollars. But put your heart into it, whatever you do it with your heart, It's not just about the money,
Yeah, again, if you have a bunch of happy customers, you'll have enough money to at least live a good life,
Exactly.
And good means put food on the table, have a home, have lights.
If we have
that's
exactly,
okay.
We have all of our basic needs met. So yes.
Yeah, and I think that also whirls around to Instagram and all this stuff out there, and it's like, it becomes very interesting. So you said you got into real estate investing once you started. You started by buying owner-occupied land to build up your own practice. Did you continue to invest in real estate?
Yeah. I bought buildings, yes. Different places, yes.
Are your offices and all that, or you bought buildings outside of that as well?
No, outside of my offices. Yeah, okay. No, I bought residential and commercial too.
Okay.
Yeah, I own all of my buildings where I have all of my dental practices. I don't believe in renting or leasing. So one thing that I have is I came from a very poor family. I didn't have anyone to back me up. So, everything that I have, I told myself, let me buy it and let me pay it off, like the old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
Let's call it, you know, like,
Yeah.
you know, like, I know that I have so many, whatever, this is mine and it's paid for and that's it. No one can take it away from me, you know?
Yeah, there's some.
So I own all of my buildings where I have my dental practices, and I also, I did invest in all the buildings too, you know, commercial and residentials.
It's smart though, you know, it's about utilizing your money to have investments for retirement, to grow your wealth.
That's it.
Put your money in.
Eventually I'm going to need
smart.
it, you know?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I know you say you don't want to retire, but at some point you're not going to want to do the surgery.
It's good that it's there, you know, it's just, I mean.
One day. Yeah, I think that's smart. I remember when I was calling on physicians in my sales calls, and a lot of them rented the space, and I was like, man, and I remember when they would go through the renewals and stuff, and it would just keep going up, and automatic up and up and up, and they wouldn't move because it's kind of like almost like a restaurant, like having one location, that's where people go, that's where they're used to driving, you have to be there. And I just remember sort of accidentally, when I was shopping for space, I was like, man, this is expensive. It was like the fifth floor Ocean Bank. I was like, so expensive. And this building wasn't going to be ready for 2 years. And just so happened, someone's like, why don't you think about buying? And I was like, how can I buy? And went through that whole process and was able to do that. And then you start building equity and have your own space, and you don't have to deal with the landlord. You are your landlord.
You
and
are
then
your
you can
landlord. Exactly.
change it as you want and expand it. And it was like a good thing that I didn't even think about, that now has become a little bit of a real estate portfolio as well. And I've continued to purchase other things too. So if you can, and maybe you can't start that way, and that's okay. But once you start getting some traction and taking care of people, you should consider
just think about the future. Right. You know, if you have that money that you could invest it, you know. Yeah. And real estate is, I mean, it takes a while to build up, but it's very safe, as we know. You know,
yeah.
You know, real estate is.
There's like this. It's a tangible asset.
I just like it. Yeah, you can touch it. Let me touch it.
I don't like that.
I own the thing.
You know, I mean, we have our stock. I'm sure you have stock and stuff. I'm like, I don't make any decisions in Apple. Yeah. I have my phone, but like, you know, but I don't make any decisions. But that's really cool. So I want to touch base on some other things too. So you have some satellite offices. We kind of went through all that. We know you love what you do, which is I can feel the energy. Almost makes me want to be a dentist. I'd be a terrible dentist. So tell me, you have some really cool hobbies that you've come across, and I didn't want to ask this until we were on camera. So tell me some of the things that you like to do besides this amazing making people feel great about themselves.
So I'm a helicopter pilot, an instructor also in helicopter.
Okay.
So you know, I took it to the next level. You know, not that I teach anyone, but you know, just for training I did it, and I also fly jets.
Okay.
So I fly jets and I fly helicopters.
And what got you into that?
Just, you know, I burn money. Let me burn some money. Let me spend some money.
So you like speed?
I like speed, yes. I always like speed, but helicopter. So I became a helicopter pilot before I became a plane pilot. And helicopters, I just found them very unique, very different.
So cool.
You know, so I fly my own helicopter, and I have a house in the Keys.
Okay.
It takes me about 15 minutes, and I land in the house in the Keys.
So much. Which key? Which key are you
Tavernier Key.
Okay. Oh, that's not even like the because it's a helicopter.
Yeah. So they have a landing strip there that all the neighbors, they have planes, but I have my helicopter there. And I mean, not there. I keep it at Tamiami, but I fly there, and then I also fly the plane.
I've stayed on one of those strips in Tavernier, by the way.
Oh, really?
I've stayed there. Yeah,
nice.
It's like it's not a street. It's a landing strip.
It's a landing strip.
Yes, I've stayed there. I know exactly where it is.
Yes, I have a house there. I built a house there. Yes.
Oh, that's so awesome. And then you go fishing, you boat?
I got my boat there. I have my boat there in the Keys. Yeah, so that's like a vacation home, you know.
I grew up, and that was like our big splurge, going to the Keys, and that was a big deal for us. We have some similarities in how we grew up and stuff, and my hunger to be successful. So, but that was like our big vacation. We would go down the Keys, spend 2 weeks there, get a boat, and I have very fond memories of the Keys.
Yeah, the Keys. A lot of people have fond memories of the Keys. Yes.
Yeah, I don't go enough in though. I need to start heading back down there. But okay, so helicopter, that is so cool. I'm like fascinated with like military helicopters, and
that's
like
nice.
How freaking cool they are, and how like advanced and what their capabilities.
Yeah, what they do is incredible. Yeah.
But the speed that you get to Tavernier is is so awesome. I always joke around. I'm like, dude, forget the train. I need a helicopter.
Yeah.
All right, we need to discuss how that happens. How do you find a way to get a helicopter? And then jets. So tell me about the jets.
So I fly a jet.
Okay.
A Citation 2.
Okay.
And that's fun, that's when I go, like, if I decide to go to New York, like I just went to Washington DC. I mean, that's when you go further away than you go on the plane.
Okay.
And then,
It makes it one shot.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, because it's long range. Helicopters are for short distance, low altitude, when you go on a jet, you go, above the bad weather, 37,000 feet, 39,000 feet up there, So you're with the big boys up there, and that's fun. I love that too, But it's different. A jet is more like, okay, when you take off and when you land after that, it's more like boring. You're sitting down, Helicopters, you need to be like very much, I mean, when you fly a helicopter, you need to be on top of it really.
Focus the whole time.
Yes. Things happen really quick and you need to be quick on it. I mean, they're very unstable. So a helicopter is a machine basically that doesn't want to fly, but because every part is constantly rotating the other, it makes it fly. Let me put it to you that way. So,
yeah. It's like a crazy elevator.
Yes, exactly, like a crazy elevator. Sort of.
Oh, that's cool. So you fly the Citation 2. That's really nice too. Oh man, that's fast too. You don't have to go to the airport.
Yeah. I don't have to go to TSA. No TSA for me.
Dude, it's so
I
terrible.
hate TSA.
I hate it so
And when you land, they bring your car right there. You put your luggage in. I mean, that's what life is all about at the end. I mean, that's why we work hard too, to enjoy life and those little moments, with your families, with friends, So that's something that I enjoy, and I basically I get disconnected by doing those things, because you could tell, I'm sure everyone could tell I'm high energy, so that's something that will keep me, focused, correctly. Like when I'm doing surgery, I change completely. When I'm flying, it's like a different person because I'm able to focus really good.
Yeah, and you're doing that one thing.
Yeah, one thing, that's me, and that's how I am.
It's, so everybody, one of the hot topics now is like meditation and clearing your mind. And it's hard for us, like we're always doing that. But I always tell people, like find a hobby that you have to focus. Like people are playing pickleball, paddle. You can't not focus when you're playing a sport, when you're flying a helicopter. I do in water polo. I mean, I can't think of something else or I won't be able to
water
play,
polo.
right?
My kids do water polo.
Oh, they did?
Ransom Everglades, yeah.
Oh, we'll talk about that offline. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So, but it gives you this meditative state where you can disconnect from the other side of where you're constantly focused. You're at a high level of good stress where you're trying to perform for your patients or do whatever you need to do in business. And so it's good to find a hobby or something where you can change your focus and connect or disconnect in a different kind of way. That's so cool, though. I never thought of that. So I want to get and I'll ask you if you have anything to ask at the end. Your kids are becoming dentists, right? So it could be towards them or anybody that's up and coming, whether it's in business or dentistry. What would you tell someone up and coming that's hungry, that wants to do well by their patients and clients? Or what would you tell your kids?
Well, what would I tell my kids? I mean, I know that sometimes, they tell me, well, Dad, it was different times. I don't think it's different times. If you put your heart into it and your mind, and if you think about people, if you put people, the patients, before you put yourself, and if you care about them more than anything else, it doesn't matter what time it is, it's still the same, you're still gonna get the same results, okay? Your practice is gonna grow. So that's my business model. I just want to be a little different. In my case, it's given myself, but no one told me to do that. I mean, it's just me that I really feel that I want them to tell me if there's a problem. I don't want someone in the other line that doesn't know what's going on. Hey, so how do you feel? I'm swollen, doctor. I'm bleeding. I'm not bleeding. I do a FaceTime. This morning I was doing a FaceTime with one of my patients, I want to be the first one that finds out of something. So that's something, no matter what you do in life, put your heart to it and be the best at it. Get proper training. That's the other thing. We lack training. A lot of times, sadly enough, I want to tell you, and this is very tough for me to say, but I don't think that schools are preparing doctors or dentists correctly nowadays.
Okay.
Back in the days, they were more strict, but because of everything that is going right now, that I can't offend you, I can't hurt you, whatever, I can't tell you what to do right, I can't raise my voice, and, they do whatever they want and they graduate.
Right.
At the end, those are the doctors that are going to be seeing us, and it's sad. I want someone with caliber that could take the pressure, that when a patient is bleeding, that they're gonna be able to do what's correctly and act. That when the patient goes in cardiac arrest, that they know what to do right away. You can't freeze. You cannot freeze. If you're a lifeguard, you can't see someone drowning and I'm gonna freeze and stay here.
Are they okay?
You can't. You gotta run, jump in the water, go get them. Don't think about it.
Right.
So that's what I see. That's what I would tell.
You know, it's changed a lot. I mean, even I know with our medical director, they would do 30, 36 hours. It was supposed to be like 24, but they do 30, 36-hour shifts in a row. And if you can think like that, someone's walking in the ER and you're still like this, even though you've been on your feet for 30 hours, when you get 8 hours of sleep, it's easy, right? And now it's like, oh, 12, it's so many hours. I'm like, dude, like 8 to 10 years ago, it was 3 times the shift. And I know they've come out with these studies and that, but we come out with studies for everything. But who do you want? You want the person that can be up for 40 hours and make a decision, or you want the person that's like, I'm tired at 10, right? And maybe it's like, I'm tired, I don't know, want to make a decision. You want someone that's sharp under the most extreme level of pressure. That's why a lot of surgical and neurosurgeries, they have very hard residences, and it used to be harder. But you want that person to build on the utmost pressure. Hey, wake up, we have an emergency, let's go.
And push yourself to be the best. Go above and beyond.
Yeah.
Don't do just what the program tells you. No, you go above and beyond.
I think our standard,
which is how I practice. I mean, I was happy with what I was doing, but no, I want to be in the top cutting edge of, the doctors in the United States.
And to do that, you have to push yourself.
You have
to push it. Yeah. So, anything else you want to talk about? Any questions?
No, I want to thank you for inviting me. I think it's been very pleasant. I mean, super nice. I love it. Thank you for having me. I mean, what an honor to be here.
Dude, when I told you, when I heard we were interviewing, I was like, okay, this is so cool. And your work speaks for itself. We'll put some work in some of the clips and stuff.
Thank you.
It's absolutely awesome. I'm glad how you can.
I'm going to invite you in the helicopter. We're going to go out in the helicopter. We're going to go fly.
I'm taking him up on that one.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
We're gonna go to the Keys. We're gonna go fly.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Dr. Miro.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Awesome, dude.